People are asking if Shamima Begum, the ISIS bride, should be allowed to return back to the UK. What would your answer be? Hey up everyone and welcome to Political Nerds. I'm Steph the Alter Nerd, your nerdy political guide from Washington DC to Westminster and beyond. Now of course, before I jump into this, the usual disclaimer: do your own research, come to your own conclusions, and I'm not inciting hatred to anyone or particular group, religion, etc. So let's jump into the madness with this. I thought this whole issue was put to bed when the highest court in the land turned round and said to Shamima Begum, you can absolutely piss off. You are not stepping foot back into the UK. You are a danger to the UK, to the people and our security interests. Not a freaking chance. You made your bed, you can now freaking lie in it. Yeah, well, the whole situation of Shamima Begum has reared its ugly head yet again. And here's the article. A review is recommending now that Shamima Begum returns back to the UK. This is absolutely freaking insane. And so the Independent Commission on UK Counter-terrorism has concluded after a 3-year review that she and other people held in the Syrian camps should come back to the UK. They say that these camps are being seen as Britain's Guantanamo, a reference obviously to Guantanamo Bay in Cuba, which was used to indefinitely hold al-Qaeda suspects in the years after the September 11th attacks. Now, the commission, which included the likes of Dominic Grieve, the former Attorney General, Saeed Awasi, the former Tory chair, and Sir Peter Fahy, the former Manchester police chief, warned that the UK's current policy of resisting repatriation was unsustainable and inconsistent with the UK's international human rights obligations. Yeah, well, how about our human rights? Yeah? How about our human rights to be able to live amongst people here in the UK that are not our enemy, that are not a danger to us? This is freaking backwards way of thinking. They say conditions in the camps constitute to inhumane and degrading treatment. The experiences of women and children under ISIS were complex and varied, with many being victims of coercion, trafficking, and we're going to have to say XXX exploitation there, while others may have actively supported the organisation. Yeah, like Shamima Begum actively supported ISIS. And now these insane dumbasses are like, yeah, bring her back. It's all Gucci now. What the hell? They say international evidence shows that repatriation is practically possible, with largely positive outcomes and manageable security concerns. But when you're talking about Shamima Begum here, there is no positive outcome at all that would occur as a result of her coming back to the UK. Poll after poll after poll after poll consistently states the British people do not want her back to the UK. She forfeited her right to be a UK citizen when she crossed that line and went to ISIS. That was it. At the point of no return, that is it. Countries, they say, implementing systematic repatriation demonstrate that return prosecution where appropriate and rehabilitation programs can effectively manage risks while upholding human rights. Okay, so who's paying for all of this, right? Who'd be paying for the repatriation, the prosecution, the rehabilitation programs? It'd be us, the taxpayer here in the UK. So we would be paying for an enemy of the state, Shamima Begum, right, who the court said could not come back because she is a security risk and a risk to the British people, right? We would be paying for that person to come back to the UK, right, we would then be funding the CPS and their prosecution against Shamima Begum, even if they decided to prosecute, right? And whether they did or didn't, either way, they would then put her in a rehabilitation programme. Again, who'd be paying for that rehabilitation programme? Us. The UK doesn't have two pennies to rub together anymore. We're effectively freaking bankrupt. We've got a Labour dictatorship that is taxing us to hell and back at this point, squeezing out every little penny that they can from us. When the British people can't freaking afford it anyway to begin with, this winter people are still having to choose between heating their homes or eating. The cost of living crisis has not gone away. Yet now, we've got these bozos turning round and saying, oh, let's welcome the likes of Shamima Begum back to the UK. We'll rehabilitate her, we'll do what we need to do. But that's all going to be funded by the taxpayer. Then again, we don't have the money to do that. Nor the inclination to do it in the first place, because again, poll after poll after poll is saying the same thing. We don't want the likes of Shamima Begum back into the UK. It's off with that freaking nonsense. So they then say the UK's reluctance to repatriate has made it an outlier among comparable jurisdictions and may ultimately prove counterproductive to long-term security interests. I don't see anything negative about blocking Shamima Begum back to the UK. It's all positive. It's all positive. I don't care what other countries are doing. I care about what the UK is doing. As far as I'm concerned, the government at the very least has got it right when it comes to Shamima Begum. Do not let her back into the UK. Done and dusted. Piss off. Case freaking closed. Now we've got these bozos trying to reopen it. The Commission recommended, get this, the government should facilitate the voluntary repatriation for British nationals, including those deprived of British nationality, i.e. Shamima Begum. It should appoint a special envoy to oversee repatriation and inform returnees of the likelihood of prosecution, as escapes from camps are likely to lead to some returns to the UK. An organised programme of return, rehabilitation and integration is the best long-term option for managing risk. But again, who's going to pay for all of that? It would be us that would be paying for it. Paying for a person to come back to the UK that we don't even want in the UK in the first place. Again, we are living under a dictatorship. This government is not working for us. They're working against us. They're taking action that is not in the best interest of the British people. And more so, they're taking action that the British people do not want them to take. Try and tell me we're not living under a dictatorship. Please try and tell me. Because if you think we're still living under a freaking Labour democracy here, you need your heads examining. You really, really do. Now, GB News, I'm really, really shocked at this, okay? GB News had this gentleman on called Trey Lowe. And Trey Lowe, in this clip, makes his case for why Shamima Begum should be allowed to return back to the UK. Saying she was groomed at 15, grooming is grooming. If we say it matters to protect vulnerable children, it should matter everywhere. This is the thing, though. He's not, in my opinion, conspiracy theory, whatever, taking into account the wider freaking context of the Shamima Begum problem. As to what she actually did while she was there with ISIS. And what she said afterwards. She doesn't regret what she did. She's not sorry for what she did. She don't feel any remorse for what she did when she was in there. She's just now trying to play the victim. Oh, the UK won't let me back in. Wow. Yeah, for good sodding freaking reason. And it looks like, no disrespect, but Trey Law here is drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit here. There's a damn good reason why the highest court of the land turned round and told Shamima Begum to piss off. You ain't coming back to the freaking UK. Regardless if you left at the age of 15. Because think about it this way, right? We've got story after story after story, right, of illegal immigrants breaking into the UK, them being dangerous as hell, but they're allowed to stay in the UK because, no word of a lie here, an illegal immigrant's son prefers the chicken nuggets here rather than abroad. Or another one, which is they claim to be homosexual. So they say if they're returned back home, they'll be persecuted for it, this, that and the other. Or another one more recently, right, which is, oh, he's too dangerous for us to send him back home to Jamaica, so we're just going to have to keep him. Yeah. If we have decisions like that on extremely dangerous illegal immigrants that have broken into our country, right, where our courts have allowed them to stay here indefinitely, then there's a damn freaking good reason why the courts have turned around and said, Shamima Begum, she can't come back. A damn freaking good reason. And ultimately, why shouldn't she be allowed to return? Well, here, we've got Samantha Smith on X, and her post says it better than I could, right? She says, yet again, the Bleeding Hearts want to let Shamima Begum back into the UK. The excuse this time to prevent human rights violations being committed in the facility she's being held at. What about the human rights she violated? What about the lives she destroyed? What about the atrocities she endorsed and encouraged? She is not a victim. She left the UK of her own volition, sold suicide vests for ISIS, was an active terrorist well into adulthood, and said she has no regrets. She also groomed 2 classmates to join her after coming back from the training. Those girls, unlike Shamima, never had the chance to repent or come home. Why? Because they were unalived. She wasn't manipulated. She wasn't forced. She wasn't innocent. This is a woman who continued fighting for ISIS well into her adulthood and told the world that she was proud of what she committed. She's still married to her ISIS husband. They only separated, and so she claims, because they were forcibly separated when arrested for terror offences. And when her side didn't win, when it all ended, she thought she'd be able to waltz back to the UK and pick up where she left off. She only started claiming to be a victim when all of the avenues where she tried to return to the UK had been exhausted. Exploitation was just another strategy to play. She's looking for a trump card and landed on CSA. Begum had been an enforcer in the ISIS morality police and had tried to recruit other women to join the group. She defended enslaving the Yazidi women and still justifies it to this very day. This is not the behaviour of a victim. There comes a point where you cross the line and no one can claim to be a victim. In my opinion, advocating for the enslavement of other women crosses the line. And yeah, I agree with this. If Shamima was a white girl who joined ISIS, I'd still feel the same about it. It's nothing to do with the colour of her skin. I'll always support other victims. Shamima, though, is not one. And it's an insult to survivors of CSA and exploitation to equate her to us. We are not the same. No. And so, with these renewed calls for Shamima Begum to be allowed back home to the UK, do you think she should be allowed to return back to the UK? For me, it's very simple. Hell freaking no. With that being said, if you appreciated this video and you want more, and unfortunately with the state of the UK at the moment, there's going to be more, then make sure you subscribe to join our Alternerd tribe here at Political Nerds. If you're watching on X, make sure you're following me at Steph Alternerd. Like, share, comment down below your opinion, conspiracy theory, whatever. Do you think Shamima Begum should be allowed to return back to the UK. Like I said, it's a hell no from me, but what do you guys think? Let me know in the comments down below. Thank you so much for tuning into this video. I appreciate all your faces, and until the next time, you guys, laters.